What's up, everybody? This is a little bit of both. The Drunken Spear tabletop gaming, Couch in the Dungeon gaming. We just wrapped up the latest episode of the Phantom Vanguard, and I've been listening to season 1 of the Drunken Spear like nonstop for like the last 2-3 weeks. I'm on like episode 24. So I kind of just thought, we'd kind of sit around bullshit for a minute, reminisce about season 1, kind of talk about that dream that you had maybe, and who knows what else that happened in that episode.
Yeah. Oh, man. That dream was interesting because I was trying to take down all the details that I could because I feel like it's premonition type deal.
It happened kind of out of sequence. There was supposed to be another dream that you were supposed to see before that. And when we did the flashback, I didn't do a dream during the flashback sequence. And I had a dream that we were supposed to do during the flashback. So I'm going to have to modify that so that I can use that again in the future.
Yeah.
Because I really want that dream in particular to happen.
Yeah.
But I feel like with the dreams being out of sequence a little bit, kind of maybe some of that's going to, like you said, premonition, like give a little bit of foreshadowing. Was
you expecting Baron to attempt to figure out the sigil, the banner?
The banner? No, honestly, I kind of figured about everybody would have forgot about it by now, but I was hoping that somebody was just going to, because I think at one point in time in the first session, I asked, like, is there any details that you can tell? And nobody was like, but I didn't specifically describe anything. I was waiting on somebody to ask, well, what do I remember? And have you roll and then be like, oh, well, you remember seeing, and it would have been an easier roll because the attack would have just happened.
Yeah. Instead of being years down the road.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's fair enough.
So that it was kind of always my hope that someone would ask about the. I think that's my phone. It keeps going off.
Oh, you're good.
But yeah, I was really hoping. So when you ask, I was like, yes, I've had this, and I had like that banner, that the idea of what that banner looks like has been floating around in my head for like 2-3 weeks, and it's changed a couple of times. So I had to write it down to make sure that I actually had, what the right banner. I might throw that in AI and see what it produces, and
might get something pretty wild,
like a kind of like I did with the guild banner.
Yeah, yeah. It was what was the color of the horse again?
Like the zombie horse.
Zombie horse, so like a pale horse type deal.
Well, it would be kind of like a black banner with kind of a white horse, and like some rib cage would be shown, and some guts would be hanging, and like some meat or patches and bone would be shown in other places.
Skeleton rider, red skeleton rider with
skeleton would be riding, and then there would be like a red skull on the skeleton.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was pretty wild. Interesting. Tell you what, it was a lot of fun to the flashback with the two
the
people,
dwarf and the lizard folk. Yeah.
Yep.
I think my favorite was just the woman getting 10 gold out of you. And then you going right up to the next guy and him being like, oh yeah, well, he gave me 10 gold to get his horse ready, and then he spent 700 gold on this thing, and you're like, oh, cool. And I'm like, a little bit.
Yeah, the whole
time. You're like, all right, well, here's 15 gold. And I was like, all right, cool.
Is that like a horse potion? Is that real?
I mean, honestly, when I said it, I thought, yeah, like that could probably be like a horse.
I was thinking like Red Dead Redemption, how you give it the stamina.
You could probably buy like a healing potion or something to revitalize your horse so that you can not have to stop as much. But something like that would be fairly expensive.
Yeah.
So I feel like, a common healing potion, I average about 50 gold. So
was he lying about all that too?
About what?
About the things for his horse. He spent 700 on.
Oh no, he did. Well, no, he'd be lying. He would have bought like the potions, but considering the fact that he's actually a guild member and not a criminal, like he has a reason for buying them.
Gotcha.
Like the idea of you coming up with like, hey, I want to go to the stable. I was like, oh shit. Like that would be really good. But actually I was like, man, but he'd actually be keeping his horse at the guild. So how does that make sense? And I'd be like, all right, well, maybe he'll just go and then, you know, like somebody at the stable will be in on it, the clerk, you know, so she'd be like, oh yeah, so it'd be like, oh yeah, he's just a regular citizen that has a horse here, instead of being like, and recognize him being like, well, that's a guild member, what are you looking at him for?
Yeah.
But going to the stable was very much a clutch idea.
You
you hit me with that and I was like, damn, why the fuck didn't I think of something like that? Like, that's smart, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, going the way that you were going and asking around wasn't a bad idea either. It was just,
I didn't really know what else to do.
It was just, I kind of expect. I guess I was thinking more along the lines of when you were playing Vamir, because Vamir would have incited that.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, he would have been like, "I'm not giving you fucking gold. I don't even know if that information's real."
Yeah, this is a young kid, man.
So it's definitely it's interesting you seeing that, playing that two sides of a coin though, because you went from a character who was very suspicious of everything to someone who might be a little bit naive.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you know better, but still to just be like, all right, well, yeah, here's some. That's a thing that we're gonna do is bribe some money. So give you know, bribe some information. So you're like, all right, yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't know anything. Yep. Well, what the fuck? But the fact that it just happened back to back was was just too good, man.
I knocked him out for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. That that was a hell of a time to get a nat 20.
Yeah, it was.
20 or it was a nat 20, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. I think.
Or was it just a?
I think it was a natural, or wasn't.
I don't know.
A natural 20, but it was just the total of 20.
Yeah, it might have been.
Okay, yeah, maybe that was it.
Yeah, yeah, because I didn't double my damage or anything.
Yeah, you did get a nat 20 on something that was a 20. Oh, tracking.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's where which was right after that. So.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a fun little,
it was not bad,
little skit.
Bad little session. Got through a lot for just having the two of us, or the two of you guys. I kind of thought that maybe it would, I don't know. I kind of thought that we wouldn't get quite as far into the trial, but it'll be all right.
That works, man. That gives, hopefully we have a full table next month and can,
see what's going on with these gnolls and hope that you're on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah, if we're not, we lost a lot of time.
Yeah, so I was talking about season 1. Dude, even though I knew it was coming, McTord's death kind of fucking hit me. Like,
well, that's kind of cool.
Spoilers, by the way, if you're going to go listen to season 1, that's a little late. I'll put the spoilers alert in the description for it. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of spoilers for season 1.
Yeah,
that could potentially be here, because the whole dude, you played Vorden very well.
Yeah.
You stuck to like the military and all that. Cadmus did as well when Janessa played. Like you as the DM releasing her so that she could be free of the military oath, so that she could go do whatever as part of the party, and her immediately going back and be like, I just got out and I want to sign back up. I was like, why? Why the fuck would you do that? I think it's literally my reaction was, I was like, why the fuck would you do that?
Absolutely. And that's what I was thinking as the DM.
And she's like, I'm married to the army. I was like, you're fucking fuck.
Yeah. McCord's death, I'm glad that hit, because it was meant to. Being trampled. What a way to go.
Yeah, that was fucking, like, I knew it was coming, but it's still like it hit. And then the fact that my character's like way off deeper into the city and doesn't even know it's happened. I'm just wandering around after the battle. Like, where's this dude that I'm kind of becoming friends with that? And then I'm like, oh, he's dead. And then there's like a whole scene where I'm trying to bring him back, and fucking Cadmus, only could have done something. Lay on hands, something. Not once as a paladin did he use lay on hands to heal anybody.
Yeah.
And then here's Roderick, who has lay on hands, and is just like, oh, I'm just going to cast Cure Wounds at level 1.
If you
and I'm
remember,
gonna
he's a bad healer.
He's just, I'm going to roll 1. It's going to be like I rolled a 1, and then plus whatever my modifier is, and that's all the healing you get. That's like, that's fucking terrible. I mean, it was a cool concept to see him play, and we got a lot of role play out of it, just kind of being like, no, we don't want you to heal us, Roderick.
Yeah.
That'll leave scars. No, thank you.
Yeah, Jared
And him
did a good
being
job with
like,
that character.
Oh, no, I'm the best healer. Look, they gave me a medal for my healing.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man, he was fun in that
Oh,
role.
dude, he played Roderick very well.
If we can get, if we can get Janessa back, and I don't know if maybe he would be willing to play over the phone, we might be able to get Jared to play. I doubt it, though.
It'd be tough. I think he works
hard on
second
the
shift
phone.
now.
Yeah. This equipment's equipped to be able to do that, but I don't know how
Yeah,
immersive it would
I think
be.
a lot of it depends on how well your
The audio's not that great on the phone either.
yeah, it depends on how great your cell phone service is.
Yeah.
If we had a cell phone booster,
So
it would be you'd be amazed. Like my house doesn't have any cell phone service.
yeah.
And then I bought that cell phone which granted, you can buy a small cell phone booster that'll boost like a couple hundred square feet. I needed to boost an entire house that was like fucking 1,500 square feet or like 2,000 square feet or some shit. So when I bought mine, I had to buy I had to spend some money.
I'll bet.
So I've actually had to like climb up. My grandpa climbed up the antenna and he put up like it's an outside antenna, and then there's a fucking like a booster, and then there's like a receiver in the house that pushes it through the whole house.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But we got cell phone service, and then I got Starlink, and now I have better internet than fucking in town some days.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to start back up and continue that story. Cadmus being the main pillar
Yeah,
for sure.
I've definitely
Vorden.
I think I've been texting Clark separately.
Yeah.
A couple ideas like,
Yeah.
how can Ruick still be alive? Like, I miss this guy. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
had a
gonna
lot
be
of
hard.
fun playing him.
Gonna be hard.
I was like, he's like, it'll be really hard for him to come back to life. And I was like, challenge accepted, motherfucker. I'm a DM too. I will read the rules and find a workaround. I will beg.
Yeah, you can beg, but
I'll be like,
house rules, man.
What's your character? What's your character want to do in a campaign?
As you know, with me, I'm not a rules stickler. I never. have been.
I know.
I don't.
That's
stick
one
by
thing I think.
rules.
I'm listening. I'm like, man.
I allow a lot of things to happen that shouldn't. happen.
There were some things like I was like, man, I don't know, Clark. Why are you letting us do that right now? Like, why? That's just going to create like.
Oh, it does.
There's just going to create so much chaos. And you're like, all right, we'll go ahead and go do it. And it's like, you're going to let us do this? Why?
The big thing you got to understand is too, like with your story, it was very narrow. It was very driven, and it felt vast, but it was very. You drove to the point. See, you guys are kind of on the lines where you have a lot of freedom, but your freedom is going to impact how this world ends up. So that's a big thing to think about.
Yeah,
as a player,
that's true.
Yeah, because
there's a lot that changed because of the stuff that you let us do.
Yeah, and that was the design. You know, you're gonna hit a point where the story was always meant to hit a point of pure chaos and pure evil stricken world, and then there is a group of adventurers that's got to bring it back, and that is the point where it would be very driven.
So pretty much it's like, I'm gonna let you fuck it up act 1 and 2, and then act 3 is kind of like fixing
you're
it.
driven, and your characters, because Ruick's dead, you've got to get a new character. Potentially.
Yeah, potentially being the key word. I've only pitched you one idea so far. I got a couple more.
I've got a pretty good idea that might allow him to come back, but when he comes back, he's going to be very, very driven, because you got to understand the soul that makes him Ruik is trapped in that staff. So he would be, like you suggested in the message, he would be a body and potentially a spirit. So his body and spirit, and the spirit would come from God, and that's where you would get the spirit, and you would be the body and the spirit. The soul is in the staff. So that's how you would be driven. So I don't know. I've got a lot of ideas
I
want to play with.
I will say, from his memories, if we kind of decided to go that direction with what I pitched, it would be kind of like it would definitely be. He hates that motherfucker. He hated him before.
Yeah, now he's really gonna hate
him. That's kind of what triggered the whole like solo. I'm gonna go after him in the first place. Was like, I have a personal vendetta.
Yeah.
So to come back and kind of be.
See, you wouldn't
to have kind of like a drive, maybe not necessarily for personal vengeance, but just more of like righting the world, because I've seen and felt the evil that he's capable of unleashing.
Yeah.
Would be kind of just an interesting flip to play after, like, seeing Ruik just being, the kind of carefree, just watch out for myself and, try not to let my friends get caught in a crossfire, but if they do, then, it's just what happens, to being like almost more of like a lawful good. Maybe I feel like is kind of what that would lean towards.
Yeah.
Would definitely be probably a shock to show up to Vorden and Cadmus as some random and being like, yeah, I'm Ruik, and I'm back from the dead.
Yeah. So I've got a question. I've got a question for you, because it's been a long time for me. Did I get that wrong? Cain has the staff, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That was how he killed me.
Okay. I thought so.
Because he tried to hit me with it a couple of times.
So I was like,
and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like I legit, like I haven't hit that point in the episode yet, but I just remember sitting there and having anxiety, being like, if he hits me with, because I'm pretty sure you told me before I went into, like, he has
it's
it.
Like
if he hits you with it, you're done.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a risk I'm willing to take. And I think at one point in time, I even knocked the staff away from him. And I think I hit him with it and it failed.
Yeah.
Because I think it didn't activate the ability. And I was just, if
I remember correctly, it's like a death save. If you succeed in the hit, which would be an 11 through 20, boom, it hits you and it takes the soul.
Yeah.
If you fail,
then it does just regular damage.
Yeah, regular damage from a staff.
I was like, oh man, fuck.
Which, trying to remember everything's going to be fun, because there's been so much happened since that storyline.
Dude, there's... Answer me this. Was Samuel Magnus and Samuel Tyrannus the same person?
No.
Okay, because I like Samuel Tyrannus was human, and then like he disappeared for months right around the same time that Samuel Magnus started appearing in the campaign. So I was like, those names are real fucking similar.
They're very similar, but it was from because there was Samuel Maleficus that we played around, and remember that?
Yeah.
And I think I changed it to Magnus, because Magnus is the big, he's like he's almost kind of like a mafia type character, an underboss.
Yeah,
type
see,
guy.
so I thought like I was kind of thinking like it was almost like Palpatine and Sidious. Like Magnus was his dark side, and then Tyrannus was like his like, oh, I'm in the Senate.
Yeah,
like, I'm a good
that's a
guy.
good idea, but no, that wasn't
actually, I'm a piece of shit that sells people.
Now something happened with
I shot an impersonator when we were in a meeting. We were supposed to be getting gold for John Regal alone, and I was like,
you end up killing John Regal, don't you?
No, he died of natural causes.
He died of natural causes because you guys screwed around too much. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, I killed like 40 people at that fucking.
Oh man,
fight,
I was
though.
like, I hit.
you you were like, I got you. There's like 37 people here. And I was like, oh man. And then they killed the guys on the outside and they had like 10 HP. And I was like, if I do this right, I can kill these guys. I just have to survive.
Yep.
That's all I gotta do is stay alive.
The goal was to have a mass amount at a low enough HP where you were killing people, but they were going to overwhelm you. And then when you hit out with, what'd you hit me with? Thunder Wave?
Thunder Wave. I
And
hit
just
you with, I'm
demolished
pretty
them
sure
all.
I hit you with 2 Thunder Waves.
Yeah.
On back-to-back turns, and it
'Cause-
was just glorious.
Because Magnus knew that was potentially his setup. He knew. He's not dumb. And it wasn't even him that was across the table.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
real kicker. And then we interrogated the guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there's no gold here." I was like, "What the fuck do you mean? There's no fucking gold here?"
Yeah. Yeah,
And then-
that was a whole setup to see the trustworthiness. And where you could have went with it
I fucked
versus
that
where
up.
you ended up with it could have been vastly different. And you could have had a huge wealth amount if you would have been trusted. But the attention that you would be getting on just random attacks would be kind of rough and tiresome. Because you literally then you're forced to turn from worldly problems and you're forced to have to deal with him and take the time out. And then meanwhile, the world's just getting worse and worse and worse. And the world's pretty bad where it's at right now.
Yeah, it was in a pretty bad state when Ruick died.
Yeah.
Kane had pretty much taken over the entirety of Memora. Cadmus, Itrix, and Vorden had went back
Yeah.
to, I believe, Ruick's hometown.
Yeah. And see, you got to understand too that Timuridia has always been,
Shitty.
they're bad right from the get-go. And then
The
there was some
Dragonspine Isles. There was something. Wasn't there something going on with the dwarf clans there?
the dwarf clans. Yeah.
We
Then
never really got to that, but
Yeah.
I know that you had some notes on it at one point in time.
Yeah, there was some stuff going on with the dwarf clans, and then the Memora. The way they use Memora for Kane to get control was civil war, push the people into
Yeah.
civil war, and it worked. I mean, it worked. I think he's got full control, if I remember correctly. Almost positive.
Yeah, he did. I think that he kind of solidified his control during the 5 years he had everybody locked up, and then we all got out,
Yep.
and then we met back up. I tried to fight him. Everybody else left. Well, I pretty much sent everybody away, I think.
Yeah, you did, because we did the.
That was the big battle, I think,
Yeah.
where you pretty much just flew off and just to fight Kane
Yeah.
and his generals.
The what if was fun.
Yeah, that battle was fun until the ship crashed into our soldiers. That's the episode I'm on right now, right before
Yeah.
that battle starts.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really fun
Cadmus
time.
had to
yeah.
crush on Rita.
Yeah.
That whole fucking. I
Yeah.
think one of my favorite moments is we were at the Bounty Hunters Guild, and it was me, Cadmus, and Rita. And I just listened to this episode a couple of days ago, and I'm trying to like make sure Rita's got a place to stay at the Bounty Hunters Guild. That way
Yeah.
we don't have to worry about her being in danger or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, use the guild to the advantage. And she says something about like, I'm not property, you don't own me. And I'm just like, I'm just trying to make sure you have a place to sleep. I don't give a fuck about it. You can go sleep in the fucking streets for all I care.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, not you, him. I was like, I don't give a fuck about him either.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of good interaction between everybody.
Yeah.
It killed me. It's very early on with McCord, and they're fucking with Leonard Greenleaf, that blacksmith,
yeah.
and you're just like, "Meow." Outside the tent after you crawled out of it. It's like, there's the cats in here. Like, God damn it, you're sending the cats in here, Cadmus.
Oh man.
I don't know why I found that so funny, but
Yeah,
oh,
there was
dude,
a lot
it
of
killed
funny.
me. It was just so good.
Yeah.
So with that, I had 2 NPCs that was with Vorden, and they were at times just either Clark would control them as NPCs for him, or I would voice or actually DM NPC them as well because they're technically my characters as well. So I know how they are interact.
And that was interesting.
Yeah,
because
that was technically
Cherish
my
and
first time.
Viservia?
that
Is that right?
What'd you say?
Cherish and Viservia?
It was
No.
Sarah
It was
and
Sarah.
Saleh,
Saleh?
was it?
Well,
And then
Saleh
Nikki.
was added in because of Sarah. And Nikki's the other one. So technically it was just Nikki and Sarah, which I've actually adjusted Sarah now.
Nice.
So
I mean, she was pretty.
Yeah.
She had some pretty decent stats before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was mainly what I adjusted is her class because I finally worked out what I kind of want for her as a character.
Nice.
So instead of being a played singing wizard, she's now a knowledge domain cleric.
Nice.
Oh.
Still multi-class with a paladin.
Yeah.
I forgot that she was a paladin.
Yeah, I did too. There's a lot of stuff about that I had forgotten. Yeah, that was a good storyline.
Yeah.
I think Ruick's Homecoming. Go ahead, Dalton. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
buddy.
So I don't really have much more, but yeah. I kind of did throw a curveball at Clark during that battle that you're on, Cam, so you'll probably be listening to that.
Yeah,
You'll have to remind me of the curveball.
vaguely. I remember. Only thing, you know what? Only thing I remember about that episode until I started it, and like I said, I'm right before the battle starts. Was the only thing I could remember before was this episode is a complete shit show. Everything went to shit. The plans that I had been trying to, like, in game time, months, like a year. Because I was like gathering soldiers because I thought like we were going to get to Ruickville. I thought we were going to launch a surprise attack on the south from Ruicksville.
Yeah.
Like
I forgot
too
about that
much
city.
time. Like I went to King's Watch to like talk to somebody about some plans. And next thing I know, Regal's sending me all over the fucking place on a ship. So by the time I get back, like 6 months has passed. I've not been able to go back to Ruicksville to tell anybody like, we actually need to be going north, not just chilling, waiting on the army to show up. That would have been like an extra 3,000 men to help the north if,
Yep.
or, you know, a surprise attack. We would have been able to hit them from the rear or something, a diversion, you know. Like, I had so many plans that were like in the works that in hindsight, I probably should have talked to you a little bit outside of game. Like, if I would have talked to you a little bit more, and if I probably would have opened that communication, then there probably would have been a little bit more of you being like, well, if he's going to try and do this, then maybe that changes how this happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very open to change. The story always kind of had been in the beginning. There's always that end where you were headed, but how you got there was up to you guys and what you wanted to do. Definitely tried to work with you when you wanted to do something to make things work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was definitely... You were definitely a lot more open with the rules and a completely different DM style than what I used in Season 2. And I'm hoping that as we come into this, the Phantom Vanguard, that it'll be a little bit more... Like, I have a loose idea of where I want things to go and plot points that I want to happen. But there's a lot of that I'm hoping to kind of relate more to what your DM style was, so that it's less more directed and more like, you know, there's a bunch of different quests that you can go do, or there's different stuff that you can go do, or, you know, whatever, what have you. So I want it to kind of be a little bit, you know, different.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
So
I'm pretty excited. It's been fun to play so far. And your last campaign was a blast too. You know, there's definitely...
I enjoyed DMing the last campaign.
Yeah, that was a blast. It was a good story.
It was good.
Very good story. Enjoyed it thoroughly. I don't know. Maybe we can, like I said, we talked about it off. We might try to do the Halo campaign. We might try to get back to what I DM'd. And then Janessa, I'm hoping I can get her back and she can DM a little bit of her story and then play with us again. So we'll see.
hopefully it'll probably take a few months, but hopefully we'll get a schedule ironed out where it's 1 week it's working on Halo, and then the next it's
Yeah.
maybe a return to Mithria, and then Janessa's story, and then the Vanguard, and it'll just kind of rotate as we get everything ironed out. And then
Janessa's story should go with Mithria too, so that will help further that story to be understood. Because, like I said, while this is going on, there's other things going on too that are in motion, like Adrenaline. There's a whole conflict there between the Dark Elves and the normal High Elves and Wood Elves, and there's conflict there. And Memorial was always meant to be like America. It was a melting pot.
Yeah.
Timeridian is basically your humans, and all non-humans are slaves. And then when you got to the main continent, it's just kind of, there was different setups there with the main continent, but it wasn't, there's not like the Dwarven continent is, oh boy, I can't even remember. I'm gonna have to look at the map again. But the Dwarven continent and the main, it's connected to the main.
That was the Kopslov Empire.
Kopslov Empire, yep.
That's usually where my characters came from.
Yep. That is a Dwarven heavy type area. Dragons were in that area. You'll see some Dragonborn too up in there.
Nice.
In that world, the Dragonborn were created for the dragons to help fight and keep the dragons from being killed. So there's a lot of lore and a lot of story there.
It's interesting. I guess when I just, because like typical D&D lore, this world's kind of built in mind like Eberron. You know, everything within the realm of your D&D exists here, but it also has its own pantheon. So kind of for Von Lig, the Braun is technically considered like the mother of dragons. That's why a lot of your dragons and your Dragonborn come from Braun, and they originate and they kind of spread throughout the realm from there.
Yeah.
But
your dragons in Mithria are fairly, they're peaceful. They don't follow the
typical
dragons
alignments.
They want to be left alone, and they were defending themselves. So it's pretty interesting stuff.
I was gonna say, you kind of season 2, you kind of ran into a vast temperament of dragons. You had a couple that kind of helped you. You had some that, obviously, the white dragon you fought very early on was very hostile.
Yeah.
And then you fought that black dragon. I forget, but there were several dragons.
Yeah, we fought quite a bit of dragons. Yeah, we sure did.
So that pretty much couple episodes, it was just the two dragons, the black and the green.
Oh yeah.
Then fighting with a
bronze. No,
copper.
Yeah.
So we fought a black, a green, a white. We fought with a.
I know it wasn't bronze, but I can't remember.
It was one of those colors.
Either
it was whichever one was more typical to live in, like forest and mountains.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I don't remember. If I were to stop being lazy, I could literally seize like a homebrew.
Bronze, maybe? That's what we just said. We wasn't brass.
We've been at this for a few hours, folks.
Something too that I always wanted to do, and I haven't never discussed it, but it might make its way in there, and that's having an area of dragon riders that ride dragons.
Which actually, the character I have not made on Hero Forge, that's what they are.
Yeah,
she's
that'd be cool.
Last guardian of whatever dragonhold she was, and she has a dragon egg as well.
That's cool.
Yeah,
there's something that we talked about doing that, because I had a co-creator that fell off the map, and we would sit and we'd bounce ideas back and forth with things, and we had a lot of good stuff going, but the dragons was one thing that we really kind of struggled with, because
dragons are difficult.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a whole book on how to run dragons.
He wanted to kill them, and I didn't. I'm like, I'm not all right with killing them in the storyline. They need to be around, because I like them and always
Yeah.
have. I've been fascinated with them.
To me, it kind of varies upon the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have your dragons that are your
Yeah.
your typically hostile colors that are
Yeah.
they're going to be
Yeah.
not hostile. And
Sure.
You're going to have
Yeah.
a gold dragon that's supposed to be nice. That's just a royal dickhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
So to me, I guess it depends upon
Yeah.
the dragon and dragons
see-
within
Yeah.
Von League would
Yeah.
be considered very plentiful. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of a toss up.
See, my big thing that I wanted to do was, kind of like Aragon almost. You know how you have your good dragon riders and your bad dragon riders. That's kind of what I wanted to do.
That would I could definitely see that being a story that would take place down near the what is it, Tyrian Wildlands?
Yeah, the Tyrian
like
Wildlands.
that would
Yeah.
be because that's kind of like southern the main continent, right?
Yeah.
So that'd kind of be like, I feel like that'd be the kind of area where like there'd be some dragon riders that are maybe fighting, to claim the last of the few dragon eggs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be too. There might even be a continent you guys haven't even seen. Maybe I'll tape some paper on there and draw one up. You never know. You can do anything with that stuff. That's what's so cool about
That's
it.
true. That's kind of similar to how Cannabitravius is.
Yeah.
That the dead land, it was like a lost continent that you guys ended
Yeah.
up finding. If you were
This
to
continent.
return to that, you'd kind of see that life is starting to return to that continent. So that'd be interesting.
See, this is what's fun about what we're doing right here is because I'm getting all kinds of creative ideas.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you got this continent. It's a lost continent, but it's not really lost. They erased it from history, taking this from Star Wars, because they didn't want anybody to know they existed. And they live over there, and they're dragon riders, and they do all kinds of cool stuff. You could you could do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
And the one thing I've really been doing with dragons is using older dragons. So
Yeah.
ones that aren't in your current edition of D&D, just
Like 3
Finding
or
them,
3.5.
yeah. I mean, they're
Yeah.
spread out, but honestly, probably 3rd edition might have the most.
Third edition did have a lot of dragons.
I don't know
Yeah.
anything about the 3rd edition.
I only
Actually,
know bits and
is-
pieces, but
Yeah.
sorry, Dalton.
No, you're good. Say that is actually the dragon book that I have is 3rd edition.
Is it?
I
That's
didn't
cool.
know at the time, but I was like, I think this is 3rd edition.
That's
now
cool.
looking at the cover art, like, yeah, it's 3rd edition.
Yeah.
Getting every once in a while, Bargain Box has some of the older editions.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I actually picked it up in the game store in town.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
Cool.
every once in a while they have some of the older editions.
Yeah.
I don't really get them because I know that if I buy one, I'm just going to start collecting
Yeah.
them. And then I want to read them, and then I want to play them. And then,
There's so much information in those
Yeah.
books. That
but there's a
yeah.
lot like Dalton,
yeah,
Dalton's
things that
store,
aren't
yeah.
just
really
shit
there.
that's like
yeah.
better than what it is now.
Yeah.
And it's fairly easy to convert something into
Yeah.
5e.
Yeah. D&D is really so easy anyway. If you have a good group of friends to play with, it's easy to play. You don't even really have to follow the rules.
Yeah, you
most
don't
of
have
the
to have
time.
all the rules. I would, you need a player's handbook,
Yeah.
but you can get a starter kit or an
Yeah.
essentials kit, and you can start with that.
If you
And
have a
then-
story to tell and you've got a stat block for what to roll, hey, give me this check, that check, and you got dice, you're good to go.
yeah, there's a lot of information that you can pull off of just,
Yeah.
Reddit or just the internet in general. I've got a whole tables that I just found pictures, cut the table out of it, and fucking put it in my DM screen. My
Yep.
DM
Yeah.
screen is all custom made. I have several official DM screens, but this is like my travel time's all broken down to each individual square. I can tell you how many days it's going to take to walk it on foot, ride a horse, take a carriage, fly on an airship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the fine details there are really good. That was probably my biggest struggle was travel. Travel is the hardest thing.
I mean, your official DM screen is going to include that as well,
Yeah.
but that's going to be like a per day basis.
Yeah.
So if you hand draw a map like we do,
Right.
and we used the big like 26 by 32 inch graph paper. Each square is like an inch.
Yeah.
It's like a square inch. So you can, you can kind of assign a number of miles to each square.
Yeah.
Like I think you used 500 miles a
I think
square.
so, yeah.
And I think on my big continent map, each square is 500 because that's an easy 2 day. Every 2 days, an airship's going to travel 500 miles. And that was my way of being like, all right, well, if you're going to fly across continents or across an ocean, that's the easiest way to do it. And then my actual other map, I think it's like, I did the math, and it's like 183 miles a square.
Yeah.
And it breaks down to, it takes 7.5 days to walk 183 miles at 25 miles a day.
Yeah. Yeah, you did a good job with all that. That was stuff I always struggled with because my campaign, it's fast. You're traveling a lot, and without teleportation, you're spending weeks, months, years just traveling.
That was one thing, like, I noticed. It was like, all right, well, hey, go do this thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, it takes 2 months to get there.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
Cool. So we get there. We do the thing. And then it's like, all right, well, now it's going to take us 2 months to travel back. And then it's like, all right, well, hey, we don't need that thing anymore because the war's already started. And we're like, war? What fucking war? We've been going for fucking 6 months.
Yeah, I'm telling you. It's that was a big struggle for me.
We gave him that teleport power, and that was useful, but there were still times where like we wanted to take the ship with us and we couldn't teleport the ship.
Yeah.
So somebody was going to have to still be on the ship, and we didn't want somebody to get in combat or something when we weren't around.
Yeah.
So we were still like, we had the ability to teleport, but we're still going months because like we're dedicated to taking the ship with us.
Yeah.
And then you got to figure the airships are becoming more prominent. They didn't exist until I forget the guy's name that
Galibray.
Yeah, it showed up.
Dwarf Doman.
Yeah. Was it Galibray?
Yeah.
Yep. Galibray and Doman. They showed up with their airship. Yeah, that was pretty fun. Pretty fun. Yeah. I gotta do my diligence and get back into that storyline and give it a good at least get it through to the middle. Get into Act 2.
Yeah. Which, I mean, really, we played that for 28 episodes, which some of the episodes we chunked up in the beginning and were smaller, so it was probably more somewhere around 20.
Yeah, you'll
20
notice.
to 25. Some of the episodes are an hour, some were like 20 minutes because we lost material or whatever.
Yeah. And then also, too, that was back when I was trying to edit everything, and that just takes so much time that I just started putting them up whole. So you get what you get. You might have combat that you're going to have to skip through.
Yeah, there might be just gaps where everybody's kind of distracted or like I'm searching through something on the computer and then all of a sudden nobody's talking, like nobody. And you just hear pages rustling or fuck, where is that?
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of that. Yeah. So but don't think
that's pretty typical though.
Don't think that because we're a D&D podcast and we're recording that we're professional by any means.
Right.
This is exactly how we would play if we weren't recording anything. Actually, there'd probably be longer silences because we would have and I don't know about longer, but there'd be a lot more table talk because we would definitely have like minis out on the table and we'd have more snacks laid out on it. There'd probably be a map up on the TV screen or something. And
one point we were putting figures on the screen using those to track everything. So
and there was a lot of time in between turns because like, especially me, I like to play around like, oh yeah, they're here and here, and I'm clicking buttons on the map and messing with the computer. And
a lot of fun it is. It's what you get. It's what you'll get when you play it. And you know, the downtime and stuff is just trying to crunch numbers, think of your next move, and figure things out.
Yeah.
So.
That's a big thing
because it's not pre-rehearsed. This is all on the fly.
Yeah. D&D is a lot of
Improvising.
improv, and a lot of it's
Yeah.
you're improving off of what the because the DM he's got the idea of like what the setup's going to be and what he's going to describe. You guys don't know what I'm going to say until I say it. You guys don't know what the room's going to look like,
nor what the dice is going to roll.
Yeah, I mean, I could describe a great room, and then you're like, all right, well, I want to investigate that desk because you
emphasized on one word.
So, like, I want to investigate that, and then it's like, well, I roll a 2 plus 2 for a 4. I'm like, all right, well, it looks like a desk. And now suddenly everybody's like,
I want to look at that desk.
Yeah, nobody said anything, but everybody's like, I want to check out that fucking desk. And they're like, well, I roll an 8. I roll a 7.
Looks like a desk.
I roll a 10. I'm like, well, it looks like a desk. It's a really nice desk.
Natural 20. Natural 20.
Yeah,
still looks like a desk.
And then natural 20, like, yeah, it's just
There's nothing here. Move along. Like before we started recording, you remember the door that took you guys an hour to figure out how to open? You were pushing it, and all you had to do was pull.
Doors will always be your bane in D&D. You're going to be like, is it trapped? Does it open this way? Does it open that way? Is it locked? Is it not locked?
It took you guys forever to figure out that door to that temple.
Yeah, but it was a fucking huge door.
It was a big door.
It was a big door. We were a little scared.
Yeah, it was a
like,
big
we're
door.
gonna open it. And then I get a fucking natural 20 when we get inside.
Oh,
and there's a fucking Medusa standing there. So I just get turned to fucking stone. Natural 20. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Big dick energy. What do I see? You start to turn to stone. I fucking what?
You saw too
and
well.
There was like, what, 8 people here?
Oh,
that
dude,
day?
there was a lot.
Was that the same day? That was the
building.
same day that we fucking filled the place up with fog, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
I think so.
No, we would have filled the place up with fog. When did we do that? Did we do that in the Dark Forest?
No, because it was like Bryce was here,
Maybe.
Joey was here.
Maybe
I think
it was the
Donnie
same
was
day.
here.
It might have been.
Like there was a shitload.
You know,
of
I was
people.
figuring up people. You know, we've been through like 21, 22 plus people through this shed playing Dungeons and Dragons.
It's been a lot.
That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people. That's including the people that still play with us today. But that's a lot.
It's a lot. That's more than what most people get to play with.
We
We were very fortunate to have a number of people who, because I'd never played. I remember you and Cam were talking about it at work.
Yep.
And I remember asking you, and I was like, what are you guys doing? And you're like, well, we're kind of like writing a book or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, weird, but cool. And then it was like very casually, I think you or Cam mentioned like, oh, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, you're what? Dungeons and Dragons. Like, that's cool. When do you play? Oh, like after work most nights. And I'm like, oh.
And see, that's not true because we didn't play after works most nights. We played one time a week. And and we didn't really start for a long time after that because he tried to put together a group and he was unsuccessful. But we wanted to play after work. So it was kind of
like, and then like, I think you guys had been playing for a while with like Janessa, Jared.
It was Janessa, it was Cam,
Jared, and your dad, right?
Jared, and Janessa and Dad, and I was DMing. And we played, I think we played on Saturdays, and that's the only day that we played.
And it was a couple of times.
We
And
played
then
like 3 or 4 sessions.
And then like,
And then I DM, well, I
you
take
said
it back.
something about you invited Joey over.
Yeah.
And then Joey was like, yeah, I'm going over. I was like, well, if you're going over, I'm fucking going
Yeah.
over. He's like, I want to play.
And, well, with Cam, there was a few times when I would DM for him, and he would be the only player. So, I mean,
he probably loved that.
yeah, it was fun. He was a
fun.
good player.
Me and Rocky done that quite a bit.
Yeah, I've done that with Joey. We've had a pretty good time doing that. His storyline with his character and his brother was pretty wild. That was fun.
Cool.
And how he, I forget exactly how it went down. That was all before we recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to play most nights, so I guess it technically wasn't a lie. but we didn't play a whole lot. We played on Saturdays.
Yeah,
Whenever.
I just remember coming over because I think like me and Joey came over after work.
Yeah. Yep.
Or that was back when we were working 4 days a week or
You
something.
created your characters that day,
Yeah,
didn't you?
we came over the day before, made our characters. I think Bryce came over that day too.
Yep.
And like we all three made our characters. And I thought, man, this is fucking cool. Like
Yeah.
just hanging out with everybody, making a character, and then I had to like, I gotta write all these spells by fucking hand. I was like, I don't have a notebook for this shit.
Yeah.
And then so we played like, and then I got shorthanded a bunch of spells because I was a ranger, and then we played, and
Yep.
there was I think I knocked somebody out with a bowl of stew or something, and
Yeah.
it was just a good time. And then
Yep.
I've been hooked ever since. I've rarely missed a session that
Yeah.
we've played.
I
since.
haven't. I've only missed a couple.
I think all three of us here are the only ones. Like, I figure we can probably count on one hand for each of us the number of
Yeah.
sessions that we
Shoot,
Had to
my
miss.
child was born and I was still at D&D. Yeah, that's
It's been a lot
that
of good
sounds
times.
bad, but I mean, hey, we were home that day when it happened to be, and I'm like, hey, if you don't need me, I'm going out to play. So
I remember that.
yeah,
I remember you being like, "Oh yeah, I'll be out. It
Yep.
might be a little bit late, but I'll be out."
I'll be
and
out.
then here you came, and I was like, "All right."
my mom lit me up for that. I was like, I'm sorry, Mom, but I gotta go play D&D.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, it was. There's so many fun times out here playing. It was a blast. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think we're gonna wrap this up here, and then we'll catch you guys on the next episode.